So welcome to Paris, and thanks for attending. This Drupalcon. I forget which version we are at, but I think it's like the 8th maybe. So we've been doing this quite a while, and just like the previous conferences, I think so far this one has been a great success. It has been the biggest European Drupal conference to date. We have about 900 people attending. And also in good Drupal tradition, we are a little bit the victims of our own success, in the sense that we have some scalability issues here with the venue, meaning that some people are actually not able to fit into the room and they're attending and watching in a separate room with a video setup. So I apologize for that, but obviously it's still great to have you here. But for me at least, as I said, things don't have to be perfect. I think one of the nice things about Drupalcon is, it's that it's sort of, organized by volunteers, and things can go wrong, but we're still like, this happy family. So I think that is great. I would like to take a minute to thank the organizers. So. Call out Isabel. I don't know if she's around, but she's done an amazing job. Well, she's hiding, but we'll get her out here, I'm sure. So there she is. So the state of Drupal, it has become a little bit of a tradition, and it's sort of a great time in the life cycle of Drupal, and even in the life cycle of Drupal 7, I think. For example, just reading the Drupal Planet, it's pretty cool to see people sort of share their thoughts about what things are working, what things aren't working, how we can make things better and stuff like that. And hearing and reading those opinions, I think is a really cool thing to do. And so for me, a big part of what I would like to do this week is actually listen to all of you and brainstorm and collaborate and sort of see what changes we can make to move forward. That's also what a big part of this presentation is about. What I would like to do is provide a little bit of a framework to which we can maybe use to discuss some of these issues. So, but before I get into this, the big question is, of course, are we freezing the code, yes or no? And before I answer that question, I wanted to talk a little bit about a theory that I developed, because I've been doing these major release cycles for a while now. I think I've done 10 to 15 maybe, because Drupal 4, Drupal 5, these were also big releases, even though the version number didn't go up. So I developed this theory, which effectively comes down to this pattern, right? At the start of this pattern, we have the development cycle, and then after a while, like initially, things are going to be, typically go a little bit slow, and people start to worry a little bit, and they'll say things like, we need more core committers to commit our patches, or they'll say, oh man, Drupal development is so broken. If only we were using Git or Bazaar or something else. And so I've seen this happen, every single time, pretty much. But we go along, and slowly but certainly, sort of the momentum grows. We build up momentum, more features get into core and stuff like that. And as we near the code freeze, like today, people, we enter this other phase, which I call the patch frenzy phase. And people start to, on the one hand, they're really excited about getting their stuff in. At the same time, they're also a little bit nervous. And they, they start to scramble and sometimes even, freak out a little bit about their stuff not making it into the next version. And so they'll say things like, holy crap, my patch isn't going to make it in. Or they'll say things like, we failed to do enough X or Y or Z. It's something we should do better next time. Or other people will go and say, well, we can't release Drupal like this. There's so many things which are still broken. But eventually we freeze and we work towards a release. Between the freeze and the release, I think the slope is a little bit less steep because not everybody is interested in working through release stoppers. And then we do the release, and typically after release there's like this setback which I call the developer screen phase. And people will go like, well, it was released too early, why do I have to upgrade all of my modules? Or you shouldn't upgrade, or you shouldn't release Drupal before you've upgraded all of the contributed modules. And around the same time, the same thing happens with users. So you can read it there, right? We've all seen it, I think. But as we move forward, we sort of reach production quality, and people feel confident, they feel happy with release, and it becomes a de facto release that people work with. So if you look at it over 2 release cycles, it looks a little bit like that. And if you look over it over multiple release cycles, it starts to look like this. And it's sort of the pattern of how we innovate in Drupal and how we go about making Drupal better step by step. All right, so the interesting thing is that actually a lot of people have discovered this pattern. It's nothing new. It's actually a well-known thing. And one guy was this, Nikolai Kondratyev, I think, which was an economist, and he described that there were these, long waves of economic prosperity and depression, which, it's completely unrelated with Drupal, of course, but it's still interesting to see that sort of the same thing happens at a bigger level. And then another guy called Joseph Schumpeter, I think, he observed that innovation is driven by recurring cycles of what he calls creative destruction. What he means by that is that if you successfully apply a new technology, it often kills an old technology. And he actually says that that is a requirement. That is the true source of growth and innovation. And that's how things are being developed, which is also interesting because in many ways that's also what we do at a much smaller scale. And then there's this other person called Paul Sappho. He's still alive, but he has 2 interesting observations. One, people are overestimating the short-term benefits of innovations, and they're underestimating the long-term benefits of innovations, which is also something you saw, I think, in a graph. Just after the release, people expect great things to happen, but it actually takes a while for these things to become production ready. And the other thing he said is those cycles of expectation and disappointments, that cycle effectively is an essential part of the innovation process, which I thought was also interesting, that other people have observed the same things in a different setting. And so, that is to say, we're all normal. Well, not everybody's normal, but mostly we're all normal. And to drive this home, more recently you have Gartner, which is an analyst firm. And what they do is they help clients, specifically people that are looking to adopt new technologies, to understand the realities of these technologies, and they help make decisions about when to adopt something. Because if you adopt it too early, you might lose some of your investment. If you adopt it too late, you might risk it being too late effectively. And so they come up with this thing called the Gartner hype cycle, which I think looks remarkably similar to ours. And so, but they have a vocabulary